Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure, enthusiasm, that we gather here today for the official opening of Optimistic Tunisia 3. On December 3rd, 2023, this event promises to be a beacon of inspiration, collaboration, and actionable insights as we navigate the path through a sustainable and optimistic Tunisia. Our program kicks off with the official opening by Mr. Mohamed Zmerli, the Tunisian focal point of UNFCCC from Tunisian Ministry of Environment, Mr. Zmerli's presence underscores the commitment of Tunisia to the global effort for climate action, and we eagerly anticipate his insights to the country's role in fostering sustainability. We are here thanks to the Tunisian Ministry of Environment. We are Tunisian talents, and we work to build a country of leaders. Following the official opening by Mr. Zmerli, we will be honored to hear a welcoming message from Mr. Nejib Zaafrani, Chairman and President of Tunisian Talents United. Mr. Zaafrani's leadership has been instrumental in driving positive change, and his words will set the tone for the optimism and collaboration that defines this event. We are privileged to receive a word of hope from Ms. Rama Ben Lellahom, offering her unique perspective on the journey towards a sustainable and optimistic future. Ms. Ben Lellahom's insights will undoubtedly inspire and resonate with our shared vision for positive change. To guide us through the rich and diverse program ahead, myself, Mounir Beltaifa, Vice President of Tunisian Talents United and the Master of this ceremony, will provide an overview of the day's program, ensuring a seamless and engaging experience for all participants. As we embark on this journey together, let us embrace the spirit of optimism, collaboration, and sustainable development. I encourage each of you to actively participate, engage in the discussions, and contribute to the collective effort to shape a better future. Thank you for joining us for the opening of Optimistic Tunisia 3. Let the optimism guide our discussions and actions through this event. And now the floor is for Mr. Nejib Zaafrani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mounir Beltaifa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to welcome you all to Tunisia Pavilion at COP28 in Dubai Expo City. Thank you for making the time to be present physically, but also we welcome and thank as well the ones who are following us remotely. From basically the people who are following us remotely from many countries around the world, and we are proud to really share our insights and our contributions to fight the climate change. So the Tunisian Talents United Optimistic Tunisia 3 is a two-day event in collaboration with the Tunisian Ministry of Environment. First of all, I would like to warmly thank the Tunisian Ministry of Environment and particularly Mr. Mohamed Zmerli for giving the opportunity to TTU to participate and be part of the Tunisian delegation at COP28. Also, special thanks to our sponsor, Sergas, and some members of TTU for their sponsorship to make it possible to bring to Dubai 10 young and bright Tunisian entrepreneurs to come from Tunisia and participate at COP28, to share their innovative technology and products that contribute to the mitigation of global warming. A big thanks as well to TTU executive team who worked tirelessly the past 4 months in organizing and preparing the event immediately after Optimistic Tunisia 2 that took place in Tunis on the 13th of July 2023 under the championship of CEO Mounir Beltaifa. Our two-day program includes 40 Tunisian speakers and moderators with diversity of gender and expertise, coming from Tunisia and also from different countries of the world, where each one of them contribute to a better world in their respective country of residence, working as innovative entrepreneurs or for major companies, private and public, including international institutions, covering several sectors of activities with wide diversity of subjects and topics. All together, they bring some 800 years of diverse experience and expertise that makes a difference and contribute at a better world. We are all here to take on the challenge to combating climate change and global warming, which is a reality in our day-to-day lives, with frequent negative impact, and even on the ecosystem and people. It is without any doubt a matter of urgency to contain major disasters. The scientific warning on the current pathway are stronger than ever. The world is set for warming of 2.9 degrees C on current emission pathways. Warns a UN report some improvement on previous years, but far above the 1.5 degrees C aspiration of the 2015 Paris Agreement. The report concluded that even in the most optimistic scenario, then is only a 14% chance of not exceeding the 1.5 degree C goal. To change the current emission pathways for the better, all stakeholders, when I say all stakeholders of the world, must cooperate and collaborate to align and create a political will to turn these major challenges into great opportunities for intensifying the acceleration. So I mean to intensify the acceleration of global decarbonization to preserve our planet for current and future generations. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Nejib Zaafrani. And now a short message from Ms. Rama Ben Lellahom.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, my name is Rama, and even though I'm only 9 years old, I dream of a future as bright and as beautiful as the heart of Tunisia. I'm honored to be here at COP28, speaking to you from the Tunisian pavilion, not just as the daughter of Tunisia, but as a voice of the new generation. We are the generation that will inherit this planet, and today, I want to share with you our dreams and our thoughts on climate change, sustainability, and our expectations from everyone who can make a difference. I look around and I see a world of wonder, a world that holds mysteries beneath the waves of the Mediterranean, secrets within the sands of Sahara, and stories in the whispering olive groves of our beautiful land. But I also see a world that is crying for help, a world where the air isn't always clear, where the summers get hotter and hotter, and where the beautiful creatures we read about in our books face a future that is uncertain. To our respected national leaders, decision makers, and private sector, we, the children, are watching and learning from you. We see the efforts you are making to protect our environment, and we are hopeful, but we're also very worried because we know there's so much more to be done. At my school, Ruffles World Academy, my teacher, Miss Amy Johnson, has a saying that I know can change the world. Do the little things right. We have been taught that every little bit helps. Recycling, planting trees, saving water. But we know that these small actions need to be matched by big commitments. Commitments that reduce emissions, switch to clean energy, protect our forests and oceans, and to keep the 1.5 degrees Celsius alive, and to make sure that no person, no animal, and no plant is left behind in our world's changes. The decisions we make today are not just for now. They are the seeds of the trees that we will plant and rest. Will those trees be healthy, offering us a world where we can breathe easy, live well, and grow strong? Or will they be scared and struggle, reflecting a world that could have been but was forgotten? We expect you to be the heroes in our story, the ones who choose the earth over convenience, future over the present, and hope over despair. We expect you to work across countries and continents, because the wind, the seas, and the sun know no borders. What happens in Tunisia affects the world, and what happens in the world affects Tunisia. To the private sector, we ask you to innovate, to lead, to be the architects of our solutions we so desperately need. We have learned in school how businesses can change the world, and now it's your chance to show us that it's true. Create products that help us live sustainably, make choices that prioritize economy, and invest in the clean, green dreams of tomorrow. In my dreams, the air is clean, the oceans are full of life, the earth is lush and green. In my dreams, we all play a part in making the world a better place. But for those dreams to come true, I need you to promise me, to promise all of us that we will act now, and act that the courage that our planet needs. As a child of Tunisia, as a child of the spring, we're asking you to remember us, the next generation, in every decision you make. Let the legacy be a world that is healed, a world that is loved, a world that is home for every one of us. Shukran and thank you for listening, for hoping, and for acting. Together, we can turn our dreams for green into reality. Assalamu alaikum.
Big applause for Rama. Are we ready to switch to our mics? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So it's a great honor and privilege to welcome you to Optimistic Tunisia 3, this side event at COP28 in the United Arab Emirates, as we gather in the spirit of collaboration and shared commitment to environmental sustainability. I'm inspired by the energy and optimism that each of you bring to this crucial global conversation. Tunisia is a nation with a rich history and a promising future. Stands before us as a beacon of hope and resilience. Today, we come together not only to acknowledge the environmental challenges faced by Tunisia, but to celebrate its determination to overcome them and pave the way for a sustainable and optimistic future. Thanks to its talents from both public and private sector, from both Tunisia and the rest of the world. Let's acknowledge our challenges. Tunisia, like many nations, faces the pressing challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, and the need for sustainable development. Rising temperatures, water scarcity, and the impact on agriculture are not just abstract concepts, but daily realities for many Tunisians. It is our responsibility to address these challenges collectively and ensure that no nation, no region is left behind in the pursuit of a sustainable future. Let's leverage the power of optimism. Amidst these challenges, we gather under the banner of Optimistic Tunisia 3, because optimism is not just a sentiment, it is a force for change. Tunisia embodies the spirit of optimism, where challenges are seen as opportunities and adversity is met with resilience and innovation. Optimism is not blind to the difficulties we face. Rather, it is the unwavering belief that by working together, we can create positive change. Today, we salute Tunisia's commitment to harnessing the power of optimism to drive environmental stewardship, economic growth, and social well-being. Let us take a moment to acknowledge Tunisia's strides in sustainable development. From encouraging investment in renewable energy to implementing conservation initiatives, Tunisia exemplifies a nation dedicated to balancing progress with environmental responsibility. The Optimistic Tunisia 3 side event is a testament to Tunisia's commitment to sharing its experiences and learning from the global community. Our presence in the Blue Zone in COP28 is not an accident. It is the logical continuity of Optimistic Tunisia 1 in Paris last April 27th and Optimistic Tunisia 2 in Tunis last July 13th. And we believe Tunisia deserves to keep optimistic despite all challenges. Climate change is a global concern. Many Tunisians are impacting climate change in Tunisia and around the world. We are together this couple of days to know better about some of our achievements. This gathering became possible thanks to TTU members who fund TTU for more than 6 years now, thanks to TTU sponsors who boosted Optimistic Tunisia 3 funding. We are grateful to Mr. Mohamed Damak for Sergas grant. We are also thankful to Mr. Hamdi Ben Salem and Mr. Jalou Ayad for their grants. Thanks to each of you here for your valuable contributions to Tunisia presence at COP28. Thanks to TTU board members who set the strategy, and thanks to TTU executive team who volunteered to execute the strategy properly and efficiently. It would be great if each of us could invest these couple of days and benefit from an amazing program at Optimistic Tunisia 3. We have a copy of the program with abstracts and bios coming this afternoon, actually, not right now. And I will simply mention that we have 9 panels, each with few keynote speeches and a panel discussion with Q&A. Today, we have panel 1 starting with full chain hydrocarbon decarbonization from source to consumer, followed by panel 2, energy, GHG emissions, mitigation and technologies, followed by panel 3, circular economy, followed by panel 4, finance and sustainability, followed by panel 5, learning and development. We would stop there. This is a long day. Tomorrow, we would be starting with panel 6, emerging technologies for sustainability, panel 7, water, energy, and food nexus, panel 8, green buildings and smart agriculture, and we will end with panel 9, media's role in MENA, shaping climate change discourse. Optimistic Tunisia 3 is planned to be recorded and live streamed through social media. Our tech team sent you messages with links you are invited to share within your networks and contribute to raise the image of Tunisia in Tunisia and globally. So thank you for your attention, and let me introduce panel 1. Sorry. So with ça c'est pour moi encore. Ready? It is with great enthusiasm and anticipation that we delve into our first panel discussion today, focusing on full chain hydrocarbon decarbonization from source to consumer. This panel brings together visionaries and experts who are at the forefront of driving the decarbonization agenda in Tunisia and beyond. We will commence our journey into the realm of decarbonization, moving from vision to reality. Leading us in this exploration, Mr. Nejib Zaafrani, Chairman and President of Tunisian Talents United. His insights will undoubtedly set the stage for a dynamic and insightful discussion. Following this, we will shift our focus to the decarbonization of LPG supply chains, and Mr. Mohamed Damak, Chairman and CEO of Sergas Group, will share his perspectives on this crucial aspect of the hydrocarbon industry. Our attention turns to green hydrogen, a driving force for decarbonizing the economy and fostering growth in Tunisia. Mr. Chokri Aslouj, Senior Manager and Green Hydrogen Expert at the Tunisian Green Hydrogen Society, will shed light on the transformative potential of this renewable energy source. Continuing our exploration, we will delve into leveraging emission detection and safer solutions for decarbonization. And Mr. Rama Ben Lellahom, who is Sales Director and General Manager at UAE Service Center at Industrial Scientific Corporation, Fortive Group, will provide insights into innovative solutions for a cleaner and more sustainable future. To steer us through these insightful presentations and facilitate a meaningful dialogue, we are honored to have Dr. Nihal Shabrak, co-founder and director of Air Impact, as our moderator. She will lead the Q&A session, providing an opportunity for all of you to engage with our esteemed panelists. This panel is not just a discussion. It's a collective endeavor towards a greener and more sustainable future. Let's embrace the knowledge shared by our distinguished speakers and work together towards a full-chain hydrocarbon decarbonization that benefits both the present and future generations. I invite you to actively participate, ask questions, and contribute to this important conversation. Together, we can turn the vision to decarbonization into a tangible reality. Thank you, and let's make this panel a catalyst for positive change. Mr. Nejib Zaafrani, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mounir. Just for the audience, I had the privilege to have a 45-year journey in the energy sector worldwide. I made a small contribution in my country of birth, which is Tunisia. 2 years, started my career with a tap, which I'm very proud of, because that was the base of taking off on a global level. And what I'm gonna share with you is something close to my heart, because when I was vice president of the region for Royal Dutch Shell, I developed a vision to interconnect all the Gulf countries for capturing CO2 and also compress it, transport it, and inject it in those big major reservoirs in the region. And I want to make a statement: the only one who took it and made it happen at the within the region is the UAE, and particularly Abu Dhabi and Dr. Sultan Al Jaber. I'm talking back started. The vision was publicly shared in 2006 at IDPEC, and then also with Dr. Sultan in February 2006. And there has been announced in the Etihad in March 2007, the vision of Sheikh Khalifa, God bless his soul, under the championship of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, at that time was the Crown Prince, to implement it at the UAE level. I'm gonna come back to that. But then I'm going to address from a global level. So I'm not gonna talk specifically about Tunisia because some of my colleagues will be, but I can give a perspective from a global level. So I'm going to talk from a global perspective, but Tunisia is part of the global perspective. So My short presentation will focus on decarbonization of fossil fuels from vision to reality. And I will explain to you why I call it a vision instead of a goal. I will start with the vision statement. So this is the outline of what I'm going to say in a very short time. I have only 15 minutes. Share some realities, which is where we are today, and move on how we can accelerate decarbonization. Then outline few challenges and opportunities to close the gap between now and 2050, which is 27 years from now. Our young generation will be around, but maybe I will be under the ground, most likely. But that's not important. What is important is the message to pass to our young generation to champion that and contribute to achieve make the vision a reality. So I will offer some immediate actions to turn the vision into reality and close with conclusions. So, global vision. I call it a goal. I call it global vision. That is net zero CO2 emissions by 2050 to limit the world average temperature increase below 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. This is a long-term goal to achieve in 27 years. With very complex challenges to align the world together, to move in the same direction. So now I start with reality. So I'm not going to read my slides. You can read them because of the time. I'm going to give you my perspective, some of the things on the slides, some maybe not. So the reality. So carbon dioxide, CO2, and methane emissions coming from 5 sectors of the global economy are warming the planet. And you can see the 5 sectors on the slide. So in 2022, CO2 emissions worldwide is 37.49 billion metric tons, almost 8 times higher than 1940, which is less than 5 billion metric tons. So it gives you an idea what we have been doing since, about 63 years. But the positive things we have seen the last couple of years, encouraging development that we witnessed the last, indeed, couple of, in terms of solar PV installation. It's quite an achievement, but not enough. And electrical car sales is picking up now on a world scale, and particularly in specific countries. And a range of clean energy technologies coming in and helping into the process to combat the emissions and reduce them. Also, it's worth to notice that the world is powered by today, 2022, today we need to wait for the statistic, 60.6% by fossil fuels in 2022. Still a long way to go to phase out fossil fuels. And, carbon capture and sequestration is a proven technology for a couple of decades and a great opportunity to accelerate decarbonization of fossil fuels. So carbon capture and sequestration is something should be pushed on a worldwide scale. The issue is not about fossil fuels, it's about decarbonizing fossil fuels. So, of course, global transportation is also a major polluter, responsible for 19% of direct CO2 emission. But now I would like to move to how we can accelerate the decarbonization. So I'm going to go through the 5 sectors, okay? And I will make some suggestions. So power generation, of course, everybody talk about coal. It's not coal per se, it's decarbonizing coal. So coal plants in the world need to be retrofitted to capture at least 90% of their emission, and also gas and oil plants to decarbonize the fossil fuels by expanding the carbon capture and storage technology. So when I say oil and gas, I talk about fired plants, electrical. We are in the power generation. Second point, power plants must be more efficient. They're not efficient today. Why? Because energy efficiency of power generation can increase by 80% by capturing 2/3 of the energy consumed to produce electricity is lost as waste heat. So energy efficiency is very, very good, excellent target because it's on the demand side, so you will reduce the supply constraints. So that the balance between supply and demand. So energy efficiency helps a lot actually in terms of reducing the demand in any country, any region or whatever. So also, of course, we are in the process of building up the renewable energy in different countries and across the world. Some others have to really follow, but we need to accelerate. To be redesigned, to retrofit for carbon capture and use carbon capture and storage technology, including cement plants. Energy efficiency, you see it comes back, can be increased. Processes should be electrified with renewable energy. So there is opportunity through the processes to introduce renewable energy in the industry. And then biomass can be used for fuel at cement factories and new steel plants. Now move to the other industries, transport. So when we talk about transport, of course, land, air, and sea. So yeah, there is very encouraging result of increasing electrical vehicles to be powered by renewable energy and hydrogen fuel cells vehicles. There is some encouraging development which has to be increased, pushed, and accelerated. Develop better and cheaper batteries is happening, but we needed to get it even cheaper. If we look back in the previous 5-6 years, they were quite expensive, but prices coming down. Then we enhance vehicle performance, existing in terms of fuel efficiency to drop emission. This is happening. If you look back how the traditional vehicles, how efficient their engines and their emissions and so on have proved, we have to continue working because we are going through a transition, and the transition will be a long journey. Aviation emissions can be reduced through improved air traffic management and the adoption of alternative fuels like biofuels and green hydrogen. That is happening as well, particularly biofuels. The new vessels, I'm talking about boat and ships and so on, could reduce emissions through technical improvement by waste heat recovery and streamlined operation. Actually, now some ships also trying to capture their CO2 and store it on board of the ship. So there is some encouraging development taking place. So then I'm at the buildings. They also consuming and generating CO2. But if we want to increase the carbon negative buildings, what I mean negative is between what they get from the utility company versus their rooftops and the PVs in their villa. So you can connect to the grid, so it becomes negative building in Tama. Dubai, I've been involved. In 2011, we have proven technically Dubai can get to 75% renewable energy by putting it across Dubai on rooftops and buildings and tower, commercial and residential and industrial. So retrofitting existing and older buildings to increase energy efficiency, this applies worldwide. I mean, if you look in Tunisia, our houses are not really energy efficient, and there is a lot of retrofitting and work to do, and particularly now, energy in our country is really becoming very expensive and is a stress on our population. So that we have to focus on and work on it. And I'm sure our colleagues in ANME working very hard on that. Creating an incentive for energy efficiency appliances and electrical goods. So for example, to create those incentives in many countries are having intelligent meters, so they can see over the 24 hours you are, and then you get, a benefit if you, for peak hours, you're not using your machines and heavy things and ironing, then you get a lower rate than, using during the peak time. Now, the last one is agriculture and land use. I think need to introduce stronger incentives to encourage farmers to reduce the methane cattle of 38% emission. Incentives are needed to encourage afforestation, the planting of new forests, and the reforestation of degraded forests to increase carbon sequestration. And then now I move to the challenges and opportunities after I've gone through the 5 industry to close the gap. So fossil fuels consumption, according to the IEA, should drop from 2022 to 2050. For example, you can read the number, but I pick up the oil. We are at over 100 million barrels a day worldwide. And the IEA project, we go down by 2050 to 20 million. That's why I call it a vision, not a goal, okay? And the people who are in the sector understand what I'm talking about. So that I call is a great challenge to achieve, but opportunities to accelerate decarbonization of fossil fuels. I come back with carbon capture and storage. And yes, we should work hard, whether we'll achieve it or not. The IEA and the world is pushing to triple renewable energy between now and 2030 and double energy efficiency by that time. And accelerating, continue pushing for electrical vehicles. So growth could reduce significantly carbon emissions. Decarbonization of fossil fuels should be the responsibility of both. And I'm very strong about that. But I know other countries don't like it, but doesn't matter. I'm independent, I can say whatever I want. That both producers and consumers to accelerate decarbonization by carbon capture and sequestration. And also to agree to offset carbon. It's not all on the producer. And I will say a few more words later on during the Q&A. So also, we all use project economics, and you are very good if you have managed, to get your project approved. And I have been from that generation, but I think today we have to change the equation of the project economics. We should include social and environmental elements. I mean, social, the quality of life, and environmental elements is how we can really protect. Of course, there is a cost to it, but there is a value. The profit return will not be as high, but the value with time will be really, if we look at it in a holistic way. So social and environment should be included in any project in the world that we implement to really protect actually the environment and the planet and reduce this global warming. So the other thing, you know, we talk and so on, but data is very important. If we don't have good data management, digitized, using the technologies like artificial intelligence and so on, and analyze those data, it's essential for monitoring and reducing carbon emissions. So we shouldn't forget about this side. So what are the immediate tangible action? Stronger policies and regulation to be put in place to move faster and implement full-scale mega projects, more than double the clean energy investment worldwide to 4.4 trillion per year. That's a lot of money. It's $4,400 billion per year. But that's the world what is facing to. Accelerate energy efficiency projects from source to consumer to double by 2030. Inclusion of carbon trade and credit for CO2 sequestration and into subsurface geological formation. Develop mega carbon capture sequestration transnational project to accelerate decarbonization. UAE and other GCC countries could consider to initiate on a voluntary basis such a mega transnational CO2 infrastructure project, since they have major hydrocarbon resources and giant subsurface geological reservoirs to sequestrate permanently CO2 and decarbonize their hydrocarbons. Also initiate a regional carbon trading market and create CO2 credits, including for sequestration, sequestrated CO2 subsurface. So the suggestion, or let's say the 5 solutions for 8 billion people on the planet to fight global warming: favor less polluting transports, eat less meat, more vegetable, and eat locally products. Reduce your waste and fight against digital pollution. I was shocked when I've seen that 5 billion out of 8 billion people that we have iPhones and so on, 5 billion. I don't know, I didn't audit that number, but seems significant. And we need to reduce our electricity consumption. So now, Rich, the last thing is the conclusion. So ambitious economy with deep decarbonization by 2050, it's possible. Deep decarbonization of one sector alone will not be sufficient to meet the greenhouse gas reduction goals. Multiple pathways exist to achieve deep decarbonization using existing technology. This is important. With the technology that we have today, we can do it. But imperative to stay flexible, because technology is evolving over time. As new technology emerge, more pathways may appear. Achieve deep decarbonization requires collaborative multi-sector action, leverage carbon capture and storage, and push for mega transnational CO2 projects to accelerate decarbonization. Implementing very low carbon technologies such as carbon capture and storage must be accelerated to achieve the Paris Agreement goals. Although carbon capture and storage technology has been widely recognized as a significant climate change technology for the past 2 decades and heavily featured in a Paris-aligned global mitigation strategy, it has yet to achieve the expected scale up. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you Thank you, Nejib, for this insightful contribution this morning for this first panel. And we are going to move now to the second presentation we have this morning with CEO Mohamed Damak, the chairman and CEO of Sergas Group. So CEO Mohamed is going actually to tell us a little bit about how to decarbonize LPG supply chains.
Assalamu alaikum. I want first to thank Mr. Nejib.
Click in the button. Yeah, this one.
Up and down.
Yes.
I want to thank Mr. Nejib and Mr. Mounir for giving me the chance to be with you today. And I am pleased to share my experience in the Gulf for the last 39 years. For people who don't know me, I am an engineer from Enid from 1975. Next year, I will complete my 50 years of experience in the gas industry. Thank you. 10 years in Tunisia until today, 39. And I hope I will complete my 50 and more. To start, it is just my experience. It is practical. It's not the scale of Mr. Nejib. It's another scale. Please come down with me. It's other figures. But it is a message. Together, each step we take, it will shape our future. Together means everybody. And we can make impact on our environment with such good decision. For sure, our experience, it will be here the content of my presentation. I will not go, huh? No. I will talk about Sergas Group. Sergas Group established in 1988. I am the founder. With 5 people, today we are 750 plus. But we are the pioneer, the first gas company in the Gulf in this specialty, the central gas system. When we start, the usage, the general usage is the cylinder, but we introduced the new central gas system. Then what our scope is design, engineering, piping and gas system, EPC contract, emergency operation and maintenance, metering and billing management, gas transport and distribution, firefighting and fire alarm, trading of equipment for oil, gas, and water industry, and cylinder distribution recently. And our services is for residential, for commercial, and industrial sector. Where we are today, we are in 9 countries. We cover the UAE in the 7 Emirates. We have a branch in each Emirates, plus 1 more branch in a line. We are in Oman, in KSA, Djibouti, Bahrain, Tunisia, and Poland. What we are focusing, what are our focusing point? First is to expand globally, to continue our expansion in the same sector. So second is to focus on usage of eco-friendly LPG tanker. I will develop this point later on. Third is to work on sustainability and decarbonization. And fourth is exploring alternative fuel, and this is the future. Okay, just to say what is the central gas system, what we introduced to minimize the usage of cylinder. It is a storage tank, bigger capacity, storage tank with associated piping and system. A distribution system is the network, and metered supply to customer, what is for commercial and residential users. What are the advantages of the central gas system? Of course, convenience and safety. Why convenience? To eliminate the need of handling the cylinder. Safety, the system is equipped with safety device, automatic shut-off and gas leak detection system, eliminating the risk of leaks. The second is reduced CO2 emission. By using the central gas system, the tanker, by using the tanker, it minimizes the CO2 emission to reach the customer, the same quantity of gas. I will develop later on. The third one, improved energy accessibility. With the central gas system, it will foster economic growth and provide continuous energy access, what is important. Our market study. The United Arab Emirates has witnessed significant growth of population and economy for the last 4 decades. In 1980, the population of UAE was 1 million. Today, it is more than 10 million. More people, more need of energy, more need of gas. This is the market segmentation. The two gas available in the market is natural gas and LPG. The customer are industrial, commercial, and residential. We don't have previous figure, but in 2014, the total consumption of gas was 160,000 metric ton per year. Today, we are reaching 486,000, what is 3 times more in 20 years, where the sharing is between natural gas and LPG, dominantly by the LPG 3/4, 1/4. The trend driving bulk gas demand is the population growth, we have seen. The tourism, we know the UAE, the number of tourists reached 25 million, maybe more, and the industrialization with ICAT, Giza, Jabal Ali, Sharjah, and different other places. This is the sharing between the natural gas and the LPG. It is clear that the LPG is dominant on the NG for the, at present, 2375. This is to say, but it is literature, the advantage of natural gas is friendly for the environment, it is good for the economy, and easy to operate. For sure, it requires a lot of investment to develop more natural gas, and today it's only Abu Dhabi and Sharjah where there is natural gas network. Other projects are in the future. This is the UAE shared usage of LPG. 22% is for residential, 25% commercial, and 53% industrial. Then we see the big demand of LPG still is the industry, where there is no gas network, natural gas network. What is our market share as Sergas Group? With the gas market, Sergas Group hold a notable position by supplying 30,000 metric ton per year, what is 12.5% of the UAE for the gas. But as project and maintenance, we are at the double of this figure. The LPG market in the UAE, what is the what we have to focus for the decarbonizing the EU market is to work on the efficiency of the supply, upgrading and expanding gas distribution infrastructure, and minimize the usage of cylinder and make the usage of network. Second is the environment concern, call for investment in cleaner technology as well as centralized system. The third one is the competition from sustainable energy alternative. We have to look for other source of other development. This is just a comparison. It's just a small comparison between one load of gas distributed by tanker, what is 6,000 kilo, 6 ton. To distribute the same quantity, we need 4 cylinder delivery vehicles. You see the proportion of CO2 per kilogram, it's 1 to 4. Then by using cylinder, we reduce a lot of CO2. This is the proportion per kilogram. This is just to highlight more at the UAE level. Then the CO2 emission from tanker compared to cylinder, it is a reduction of 72%. This quantity, what is distributed in bulk by tanker, it is the equivalent of 8 million cylinders and an annual reduction of 2,700 metric ton. But this is only the top of the iceberg because the cylinder is distributed only to one place and the customer has to come and take it with his car, then more CO2 in the calculation. To reduce the carbon footprint, we have here 4 actions. Is investing in modern, fuel-efficient and well-maintained tanker. This we are doing. Efficient route planning using tracking and monitoring system. We will not move with our tanker without knowing the level, what we need. It is by using the new technology. We know at each time what is the level with each customer. Then here we started in 1988 with 1, and today we have 23 tankers. Transitional to low emission vehicles. We are actively working toward transitioning our fleet to low emission, and we are dealing now with one brand to use our tanker with CNG, compressed natural gas, instead of diesel. This is one step of reduction of CO2. Promoting smart metering. We are the first company introducing smart meter in the UAE. The smart meter is to avoid, we can read the usage of each customer remotely. We can issue the bill, he can pay, we can cut, we can make all this operation without any movement. And this is also a CO2 emission reduction. Exploring alternative, this is the future. We are dedicated in searching other development and to look for fuel strategy and renewable energy in the future. What will be here? It is just to show how it is the LPG in Tunisia. As you see, from north to south, the LPG filling station for cylinder are all on the coast, and the transport of cylinder, more kilometer with the cylinder is more CO2, 50 gram, 200 gram. Then always we see the tanker is reducing less. Then what we can advise is to position small filling station in the remote region. Why? Because they are frequently depending on LPG cylinder delivery, and it is time and more CO2 emission. This is the only way to reduce the CO2 emission, is to move some station inside the other region. What is the conclusion and the recommendation? First is to minimize the usage of cylinder, replace gas cylinder by using central gas system where possible, and replace steel cylinder with composite cylinder. What is more advantageous than the steel cylinder is light. You can see the level, you can transport it, you don't need strong men to take it to home. 2, increase the number of cylinder filling plant. This is the case of Tunisia, to minimize the distance traveled by cylinder delivery vehicle. The third one, transition to low emission vehicle. Replace older, less efficient vehicle with low emission option. And this is why we are dealing to change our tanker by using the CNG. Maybe later on another option. Optimize transportation route, of course, to minimize the distance to deliver such quantity of gas. We have a KPI is a minimum 100 liters per kilometer. When we drive 1 kilometer, we have to deliver at least 100 liters of gas. When we increase always by using the new technology. Smart metering, implement smart metering technology to reduce the deployment of physical meter reader and customer. The sixth and the most important is exploring and implementing alternative fuel on a wider scale, such as natural gas and LNG. The LNG advantage. Compared to diesel, if we want to replace diesel by LNG, it will reduce the carbon emission by 30% and cost-wise, at least 25% saving from the consumption of fuel, what is a great advantage for the industry for competition. And this proposal, there is a new technology today. We don't need to invest hundreds of millions to produce LNG. There is modular technology to produce it in a smaller scale. And we are working to be the first to produce the LNG modular. I hope in 2024. I want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Si Mohamed. It was very insightful. I learned a lot this morning. We are moving now to the next presentation about the green hydrogen. Like recently, I mean, it's a lot actually to learn. So I was like learning about all these green, gray, blue hydrogen. So actually today we have Chokri Aslouj, who is going to talk about the green hydrogen as a driver for the economy's decarbonization and growth in Tunisia.
Slides.
Here we go.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to share with you this presentation. I'm glad to be here and share with you some insights about the ongoing activities in the development of the green hydrogen economy worldwide, but also in Tunisia. So this is going to be our agenda. We are beginning with an introduction to understand why green hydrogen is becoming a global issue and why everyone is speaking about green hydrogen. So everything began, of course, with the Paris Agreement and with the goal of carbon neutrality by the year 2050. So to achieve this, it is crucial to shift away from fossil fuel energy towards renewable sources of energy. And this is not going to be possible without clean energy carrier. And you are going to see that green hydrogen is a very good energy carrier which will help us attain these goals. Because basically, it allows us to store renewable energies for long periods of time and to transport it over long distances. So green hydrogen is the best suited clean energy carrier as for now. Maybe it will change because things are evolving very rapidly, because the worldwide and even geographical distribution of renewable energy production potentials and demand will make the need to trade renewable energy globally. So there is regions with high potential to produce renewable energies and other regions with less potential but with a greater demand. So the need to trade, to transport renewable energy worldwide. Second, by increasing the share of intermittent renewable energy, the electricity mix, it becomes more and more challenging to balance the temporal and the spatial mismatch between demand and supply. So as you know, we can't store electricity in the net. So the demand and the consumption has to be the same at each time. And since intermittent renewable energy doesn't allow this, so we have to store this renewable energy to be able to consume it when we need it. And third, there is the so-called hard-to-abate sectors, such as energy-intense industry, but also mobility, such as heavy transport, either maritime or terrestrial. So, you know, we can't plug a ship with electrical supply. So we have somehow to transport this renewable electricity, and the green hydrogen will allow us to transport this energy. So this is in a glimpse the targets for Tunisia. So we have basically the reduction of the carbon intensity. This is actually currently about 30 million tons a year. We want to increase the renewable energy shares in the electricity production by 45%, and to reduce the energy demand by 30% by the year 2030. So why Tunisia has great prospects to develop renewable energy and green hydrogen. So we see here the breakdown of the cost of green hydrogen. And we see here that up to 55%, so more than 50% of the green hydrogen production is made of the electricity costs. And this means that only countries with abundant but cheap renewable energy have the potential to become a green hydrogen producer. And we'll see Tunisia, it has this great potential. So we see here, for example, PV solar energy. Tunisia has a potential of up to 800 gigawatt PV solar potential, and which is basically coming from the intense radiation of solar energy, and this make PV solar energy cheap. But as you know, to produce green hydrogen, we have to, let's say, have an energy supply which is more or less constant. And we have to mix different sources of energy. So we need solar energy, but we need also wind energy, and if available, also hydro energy. So besides onshore wind energy potential, we have also offshore wind energy potential, which almost no one is speaking about. We see here that Tunisia has the best potential of offshore wind energy in the African continent, and especially on the countries having the Mediterranean coast. And the potential is about 260 gigawatts. In addition, the continental shelf of Tunisia has shallow waters area, which allows to use cost-effective fixed foundation of offshore turbines. So we don't need these costly floating turbines. So this is also a huge advantage to develop offshore wind energy. So next we are going to speak about the green hydrogen strategy, which were announced recently in October by the government. So basically, you want by the year 2050 to produce 8 to 10 million tons of green hydrogen. This implies to install a capacity of 78 gigawatts of electrolyzer, which implies also almost 100 gigawatts of renewable energy. This will create more than 400,000 jobs, both direct and indirect jobs, and will avoid about 20,000 kilotons of CO2 equivalent. So the strategy has identified 3 zones, 3 green hydrogen valleys, one in Bizerte, the second is in Gabes, and the third is in the south, in the desert, Tunisian desert. And this was chosen because in these zones, the demand is concentrated and also the supply. So it allows to develop rapidly this sector. So to do so, we have to come up with an infrastructure. So we have a backbone. 3 options are given here. And we have to develop, first of all, a backbone. This is shown here with the red line. And then a distribution network. This is, of course, for the local use of green hydrogen in Tunisia. But for the export, we have also to set up a pipeline which crosses the Mediterranean and transport the green hydrogen in gaseous form to Europe. So for the local use, we have several sectors which may benefit from green hydrogen and for decarbonizing these sectors by using green hydrogen. And developing green hydrogen for local use in Tunisia will accelerate the Tunisian energy transition towards carbon neutrality, will contribute to modernize the industry, the local industry, the Tunisian industry, and will develop the national economy as a whole. So it will benefit the production of green ammonia, which is needed for the fertilizer industry in Gabes, in the group Chimique. We are importing currently about 400,000 tons a year, and we may cover this need locally, and we may become also an exporting country for green ammonia. Then we can produce sustainable fuels for terrestrial and maritime transport and for the aviation industry. We know that the maritime or the shipping industry and the aviation industry has engaged itself to reduce by 50% its carbon emission worldwide. And of course, for the electricity generation, you know that we are dependent on the Algerian natural gas by almost 2/3 of our consumption. And we have this opportunity that gas turbines of STEG are so-called green or hydrogen ready. So with a small modification, we can use green hydrogen instead of natural gas. and this will contribute to have our energy security and to reduce the cost, of course, of the electricity we are producing. So another possibility is, of course, to export green hydrogen. You see here in the European strategy, we have identified Tunisia and North Africa as a whole as a potential producer of green hydrogen for Europe. And this corridor A has been identified to supply Europe with green hydrogen. You know, Europe needs about 10 million tons of green hydrogen by the year 2030 and 40 million tons of green hydrogen by the year 2050. And Tunisia could become a main supplier for Europe. So what are, at a glimpse, the benefits to develop this green hydrogen economy in Tunisia? Well, first of all, Tunisia can produce 8 million tons a year of green hydrogen. It could export 6 to 8 million tons a year to Europe, basically. And it could use locally 2 to 4 million tons locally for its local industry and local use. This will, of course, reduce or offset the energy deficit the country is suffering. So we know that the energy deficit has risen in the last 10 years to the tenfold, and therefore Tunisia is compelled to import massively energy, and this has contributed to the financial problems the country is confronting. Another advantage for Tunisia, we see here in this map, the countries with green hydrogen production potential and the demanding countries, so basically Europe. And you see how close Tunisia is to Europe. And this allowed to export green hydrogen in its gaseous form via pipes. And the transport via pipes remains the cheapest solution to export green hydrogen. So we have this huge advantage that we are able to export green hydrogen the same way as we are exporting the Algerian gas to Europe. We can use this mean to export green hydrogen via pipes, and this is a huge advantage, as you see. So another way is to export green hydrogen in its gaseous or liquid form, yeah, with the special tankers, which are actually developed worldwide. There is another advantage for Tunisia. So we see here that the Mediterranean is accounting for more than 20% of the world's waterborne trade. Yeah, and one of the most used routes passes for the doorsteps of desert. Yeah, and when we know that the shipping industry is compelled to reduce its footprint by 50%, so it has to use green fuels. Yeah. So let's imagine if we install here a bunkering station, yeah, in desert, we can export without the transport costs, which is also a huge advantage for our country. Yeah. So it will, of course, drain investment. Yeah. For each million ton of hydrogen, it is required to have 15 billions of euros of investment. So it will drain huge investment to our country, and it will, of course, contribute to develop the economy, the Tunisian economy. So this is how it is broken up as So this is what is expected as foreign direct investment, and where the investment will be operated. So either in renewable energy or electrolyzer, ammonia, e-fuels, and the infrastructure which is needed to develop this economy. So it will, of course, create growth, will create jobs. And it is believed that the Tunisian economy, 1% of growth of Tunisian economy creates between 10 to 50,000 jobs. Yeah? So it is expected that by the year 2050, 40,000 or more than 40,000 jobs are going to be created. So there is, of course, many projects in the pipe in Tunisia. Many investors are requesting the government to implement green hydrogen projects. So I'm involved in two of them. One is a demonstration project. It's called Desert Hamburg, a green hydrogen project. So we are going to produce, first of all, electricity generation and production of green hydrogen in desert. Then there is a local use in form of green methanol. Then we are going to produce liquid hydrogen and exporting with special containers to Hamburg, where it is going to be used by Airbus to develop their zero carbon airplanes. So this is basically the consortium which is built around this demonstration project. Another big-scale project, which is requires an investment of $10 billion and the creation of 17,000 jobs, which will deal with phosphate extraction and enrichment in Srawertan, including green ammonia production. As I said previously, for the fertilizer industry, we need this ammonia, and it could be gray or green ammonia, which is issued, of course, from green hydrogen. It is going to involve a cement fabric. Cement production produces much CO2, which is going to be used or combined with the green hydrogen to produce fuels, e-fuels. And of course, there is a marine terminal in Bizerte, photovoltaic power plant for about 600 megawatt peak. Of course, desalination, water desalination, and other industries related with renewable energies. So this is the terminal in Bizerte. You see the new bridge, which is planned. So this is basically, it will lose or solve many problems of Tunisia, like the environmental issue, but also the financial, the budgetary deficit, the energy deficit, and so on. And I believe green hydrogen has many positive and huge benefits for our country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chokri. It was very informative. We are going now to move to the last presentation with Rama Ben Lellahom, who is going to talk about leveraging emission detection for decarbonization.
Okay, so thank you. So my name is Rama Ben Lellahom. I'm happy, glad today to be among Tunisian mainly, I think 100% maybe, and participate to Optimistic 3 workshops. And it's just a little part of what TTU is doing since years now. I contribute here today as an individual dealing with a company, but want to share with you also, it's part of my experience. So I started my career starting from Tunisia, doing applied mathematics to telecommunication, to IT, and then moved over time to safety, security. And I like to mention some anecdotes. So if you like, one of the reasons why I'm in this business is my daughter once told me, what is the most important in life? So I tried to explain to her, she was 6, 8 years old. Of course, we can live maybe a week, a month without food. We can live without water a few days. But without air, we cannot live more than few, maybe seconds, minutes. Knowing that the air is clean, but the air is not toxic, then it's few seconds and we are dying. So it's really very, very important to recognize where we are living and try to do something in our life, in our business, because we work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, try to do something for the benefits of the planet. But when we say planet, we are talking in reality about communities. We are communities, we are people, and then we are not living alone. You have animals, you have vegetation, you have everything. So we need to set some benchmarks and say, this is the benchmark, this is the deadline. I should not exceed this level. I have to follow that level. And I think when I personally, and I'm sharing with you my thoughts, it's my own opinion, so please feel free to challenge me. When I look at the debate about COP28 and the climate change, I feel that we are handling the symptoms. It's as we are saying, the planet has a fever, let's reduce the fever. But we know, and I hope maybe there are some doctors here, that the fever going down, the fever will not fix the problem. We just give you time to fix the problem. And then the problem could be for some people, the problem will be solved by itself. Some they say, yeah, the body and maybe God helps, and there are some truth there. But in reality, we need to look at the root cause, and the root causes are many. And then see sometimes correlation between the causes and make sure that we are handling them. So I personally contribute, it's a very, very small part in my contribution, but when I see all this presentation and the contribution of everyone, I'm happy to be part of this optimistic Tunisia, because we have to be optimistic, we have to dream about changing. And I think that first benchmark, I would say, and I liked what Mr. Nejib said, we need a kind of inflection point. We say 2050, we have to give ourselves some challenges and say, I should not exceed that level, and this is the limit for which I need to change. If I don't change there, I'm going, we don't know, al-majhul, as some people may say. So this, why industrial scientific? It's going to work. So Industrial Scientific in reality is a small company managed and created by family, and I really like to work in it after working in big groups, Siemens, Alcatel, Thales, big industrial. And then I liked because the way they are handling things is really very, very oriented people. So the mission and vision of this company is how to help people survive in the job. Because in certain critical business, in particular, we are talking about oil and gas, we are talking about mining, we are talking about transport. All of this is very, very critical for people. And we are talking about the gases. Many of them are toxic, are explosive, and then it's really very, very risky. So the founders found it very interesting to change something. I'm sure that some of you know, some not. But I want to tell you how before the 80s, how the people, they used to detect lack of oxygen or detect toxic gases. They used to use canaries. They take with them canary in the mining, and when the canary start being sick or dying, they run away. They don't know what to do. And then and I think some countries still using it. In certain area, they are still using animals to detect toxic gases. And then they get a little bit improving the situation, they use flame. And with the flame, the good thing is that the level of the flame will tell you if you have enough oxygen or not. So it's an improvement. And it was not the only company, Industrial Scientific, by the way. Other companies did it and then started working on what should we do for the people working for us, but also for the community next doors. Because when we have an industry, you look in general, you look at the rentability and the return on investment, you look at several indicators. Some of them look at the neighbors. Some, they don't look. We are talking about neighbors. We are not talking about the atmosphere. And only, I think 30%, of course, these are very, very high level statistics, but it reflects an idea on how things are going on. Community are living next to very hazardous areas, and we need to protect them. And as we say, we need to clean first next to your door. If each industry clean next to their neighbors, I think we'll do some improvement. So through the chain, what we call ESG, environment, social, governance, etc., I try to tell you today what we can bring to this community to make our life better, to make maybe the way we are doing, because when we talk about symptoms, the root cause, we believe, is coming not only from the industry, and again, it was said before me, it's also coming from our way of life. How we consume water, how we consume the energy, how sometimes we travel. Instead of using public transportation, we want to have our car. Sometimes I feel guilty to have a big car, why myself only driving, making hundreds of kilometers, why I can do it differently. So I think there are a lot of things we can discuss maybe later on. So this contribution is, we said, let's first improve the way we detect gases. So we have a full range of gas detector. Many of us, they use it. I think Mr. Mohamed is one of the best users and aware about it, because when we handle gas, we have to protect our people. But the good thing about it is that there are different levels of detecting gases. You detect it to protect the person and to protect the assets. And then there are different levels of awareness. You may inform the person itself, and then you need to inform the colleague, you need to inform the manager, you need to inform the neighbor, you need to inform the community. So the good thing is that the more we get data, the more we have possibility to manage it, the more it becomes complex. And of course, we need to have additional tools such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. Of course, we have a lot of Internet of Things. Not only people talk to each other, but the machine talking to each other. And during last years, we came with what we call Safer. So you will hear a lot about the Safer. It's an application, but it's also a tool to make our life safer as well. So the idea is that how we detect through the detection, by the way, I'm talking about all gases. CO2 is one out of the gases, but there are many others we need to handle. We mentioned methane, but sometimes we need also to look, do we have enough oxygen as well in certain area, and then the quality of the air as well. So at the end, it's about environmental responsibility and accountability of the people themselves. What we do here, and the idea behind this emission detection and monitoring, we use modeling, we call it plume modeling, is that when you have any emission, we assume a CO2 or whatever, it could be H2S, this emission, based on the weather conditions, is going to create a kind of plume with different density. And the plume modeling gives you this density on a map. It gives it in 3 dimensions. Of course, you have the 2 dimensions that you know how is it, and then you see the level as well through time and through the weather condition, the wind, the humidity, etc., etc. The good thing here is that it's not just for visibility. It's very operational. Because when you get these gases going somewhere, as I said at the beginning, you need to, first of all, in certain industry, you need to define a kind of master point where people, they go to a safe point. you have to make sure that the people are going to the right muster point, first. Second, you need to inform on time the community living around, so that you need to inform this community and you tell them how long it will take for operation to come and to maybe secure them. And then it gives also a way to store the information for compliance reason, but also to approximately define the source and then make sure that the source we are, either it's by accident or it's intentional, and then try to fix it. So as I said, so it's just about calculation of chemical releases, and then we establish several parameters. We get everything, I mean, simulated. We can reuse it. We can make a training. It's very, very practical. And in certain, you will see in certain area, it's used really as a source to mitigate some risks, but also to fix some conflicts between different industries. If you have a big area, and then in the region here and in many other countries, you may have different petrochemical sites, and then you don't know who is doing what. It's very important to know what is coming from and then try to fix it. Yeah, so I'm not going to enter into the details of the modeling, the plume modeling, but I mean, as I said, CO2 is one of them, is one of the most important. And then you will see we have some challenges as well in terms of density of the gas, because over time, it's from the source of the emission until another level of height, the density may change, and then we need to get additional source of information and integration as well. So it's not only research, it's something very, very useful. It's in use since now almost 40 years. We have a lot of users, around 2,000 to 3,000 users in around 20 countries. Everywhere, I mean, here in the region, they are using it, in the US, even in Africa, and we have some customer even in Madagascar. Depends of the accountability of the industrial owner. If they think that they have to do it, they do it. It's very simple because the application uses existing data. We don't need to have our own instruments to read the releases, so we can get it from any interface with the existing sources as well. So the most important thing here is that the reading we have could come from the people and holding a portable gas detector. It could be coming from fixed gas detectors. It could be coming from the own weather station. It could be coming from web-based weather station. It could interface with other application and then do several calculation and simulation to come with the proper estimation of the model. You get reports. I'm not going to bother you with the reports, but you get a lot of information. But I want just to say that the information and the data we get are two kinds of information. What we call the lagging information is all the data you have. You need to analyze and get some information from it. And we have also some leading information, which is a kind of forecast. What is going to happen? And of course, what is going to happen is an estimation, more or less accurate, but it helps a lot to give you an indication where to go. As we say, sometimes planning is a good way to replace chaos by mistakes. It's much better to make a mistake than go in a chaotic way. But we are quite confident. The more you have sensors, the more you have this connectivity, the more it is accurate, simply. I mean, we know about it. I think we are all now using weather forecast, and we know that the more you are closer to the date, the more you are in local, the weather forecast is quite accurate. Yeah, so it's just that, but it is not only this. I think that it is a part of a contribution. We are very open, and we are talking to different other companies and players. We need, of course, we need to have much more accurate air analysis. We need to have much more data, as I said. And globally, we can come with very accurate models and very helpful for the community. This is it from my side. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sirida. Well, actually, we are going to, I think we have 15 minutes, right? For, yeah? Okay. So actually, we are going to start the Q&A session. And
Just to let you know that in 5 to 10 minutes, our ambassador is coming here with a group of people. They may have a meeting just close to us, but we will take a few minutes for them to speak. This is the official presence of Tunisia, so we may pause for a few minutes. While they are coming, okay? So
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, so my first question, I will go to you, Nejib.
Yes.
So you mentioned actually, you mentioned this. Are we okay? Okay. So you mentioned, this acceleration of the decarbonization of fossil fuels with the carbon capture and storage technology, and for which actually there is also a need for huge infrastructural development, not only on a local level, but it could be on a regional and on a global level. Can you explain it a little bit more, actually, what could be done, and mainly actually having these mega projects you mentioned?
Okay. Basically, the carbon capture and sequestration has been, implemented in a number of countries, but on a small scale. So it's a field, and then trying to capture, compress, and basically store the CO2. But that's, if we really want to achieve the vision, we have to think big. And think big is that you have to bring the parties. So if you look at the major producers are here in this region. Major producers, some have already started doing, but on, let's say, an emirate scale, like Abu Dhabi. So I think the UAE, in my view, it's not something as a success that the UAE announced this in March 2007. This is in the news of Ittihad, to develop a whole network of CO2 in the UAE. So that's the way I see it building up, is starting to make it easier within your country, but the country is a federation of several emirates. So demonstrate to the world, in addition to all the great things being done in the UAE in terms of renewable energy, energy efficiency, zero flaring, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of things have been done. I've been part of it in my previous years in my career. But now I foresee it as a first step is to develop it in the UAE, so to capture. For example, there is a lot of emission of CO2 from the power plant and the aluminum plant here in Dubai. We looked at it, we looked at the way of doing it, so that in terms of the sources, that's a lot of emissions that the UAE can demonstrate to the world that they will capture in addition to their own production, which they started already in Abu Dhabi. But you need that mega, let's say, a big infrastructure within the UAE. So the power plants are on the Gulf shore, because the water for desalination, plus to generate electricity. So you can have, a CO2 pipeline for capturing, and the biggest oil fields and storage capacity here, among the biggest, are within 50, 100, 200 kilometers. So you can have that network. Having said once is we're talking about 23 years, ladies and gentlemen, to get to 2050, but it's to demonstrate to the world, and I think the UAE is well positioned, you know, to build up. And then, of course, you need transnational, you know, with the neighbors, the Saudis, the Qataris, the Kuwaitis, and so on, that to interlink and get those CO2 transported and agreed for their sequestration can be done locally or regionally. And that, you know, as it stands now, the world is not aligned, you know. Of course, we're talking about billions of dollars. I haven't gone and did the feasibility study for this. I think the owners of the asset should do that. But I'm talking from a strategic point of view that, of course, for those billions and so on, you need to create a green economy out of the CO2. Right now, CO2 sinks underground, you don't get credit. But if you do it on a voluntary basis, you don't depend on the others, you set the standards. And that's my dream, that we in our region, you know, we demonstrate we can do it, it's doable, and we change the emphasis from phase out the hydrocarbons, but the issue is basically the emissions. So if you demonstrate that you are decarbonizing your hydrocarbon, because one very important point, oil price by 2050, wherever is 20 million or 30 or 40 million, for sure is going to go down because of all of that. What's going to happen? Oil price will not be at the price of today. So if it goes below $40, who's going to continue producing that 20 or 30 or 40 million in this part of the world? You know why? Because the cost of a barrel to produce in this region is the cheapest in the world. So the Gulf of Mexico will shut down, North Sea will shut down, the shale oil of United States will shut down. So it's so obvious for me that's the way to go. Because at the end of the day, we will need fossil fuels. So we have to demonstrate that the technology is there, and technology will develop in the coming 25 years, that we have, you know, demonstrated that we can decarbonize. Not about the oil and the gas, it's about, you know, the CO2 and the methane. And you have heard there is a lot of technologies and a lot of work being done by, you know, our compatriots and colleagues through their companies to really reduce the methane, to detect the leakages and so on. And we will hear other presentations later. So, but to make it happen, so it has to be voluntary to be able to make a carbon trade and offsetting locally and regionally, and without having to depend on a global alignment, and that will come. If you do it and you demonstrate, they will follow.
Thank you.
They come.
I think this requires a very long debate.
Yeah.
But actually, I have other questions also to ask to our panelists. And actually, I will move to you, Si Mohamed. Mashallah, actually, you mentioned, you know, this long experience with Sergas, and you also highlighted all the shifts, you know, in the business, you know, with you know the central systems that you develop, the mix that you are creating with the renewable energies, etc. So what I want you to talk about is like how is your business model actually is moving, you know, since the start, since like the old way of doing things, and now actually with this you know, requirement to move to a net zero as a company. So how is your business model moving, and how are you managing actually? Because at the end of the day, it's an industry which is, you know, where you are, like it's an industry which is
Thank you.
polluting?
It's a very good question, and I'm prepared for. First, we cannot progress if we don't develop new strategy. We start with the LPG, but we move it to NG, and recently we are working to produce LNG. The company is formed already called Mounir, and I hope in 2024 we start to use the LNG. But this is not the end of the story. We are still with the carbon. But recently, before yesterday, I received the first order for a sustainable city with solar in Oman. And this will be our first project to power a city, a small city of 300 villas, 100% from solar energy. Then we are no more in the gas. We shifted to solar. And yesterday and before yesterday, I was in discussion with Estonian company and group to develop together the production of the hydrogen on a smaller scale, of course. This is what you mentioned, it is high. We are, as a company, we look on something practicable we can use. The hydrogen can be used for a house. You don't need. You produce your water, you produce your energy, you produce what you need today. When it is sunny, when it is no sun, you can have a reserve. It is a model. We will work with the Estonian company to make it, to present it to some users, even for the civil or for other applications. But we are working. We are not staying, and we are happy with our performance. For sure, it requires some time, but we have in the pipeline a lot of development. I hope that I answered to the question.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Mohamed. And of course, actually, any company needs to kill its own products to be able to move to the next one. Si Chokri. So green hydrogen, so a lot of countries in the region are talking about this, and it is a big opportunity. So for example, Oman, you mentioned Oman, and Oman is developing and would like to be one of the countries for these green hydrogen initiatives. I want to know actually what would make Tunisia interesting as a case, as a country. What would be the competitive advantage actually for the green hydrogen initiatives in Tunisia?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that different countries, different interests, different approaches, and different solutions. So, as we know, Tunisia is not a producing country of gas and oil. At least it doesn't cover its own needs or demands. So, what Nejib is advocating is valid for countries which are producing LNGs, and they are looking for opportunities not to lose their assets. For Tunisia, it is of course different. We have to look to this issue from a different prospect. We have an energy deficit, and it costs a lot the country on subsidies, but also on purchasing what we need, our energy needs. So it is very crucial, I believe, for Tunisia to develop green hydrogen for its own needs, as I showed in my presentation, but the opportunity is huge because a global market is evolving. And what we see here in Dubai and in the Emirates on wealth created by hydrocarbons, it could be made in Tunisia with renewable energies and with the green hydrogen. All of this wealth could be created in our country, and we can get rid of our budgetary misery, of our energy deficit and dependency on foreign countries, and we can create jobs so our best brains doesn't leave the country to look for opportunities outside, and we can create wealth in our country, and we are in need of this. So I believe it is crucial for us to move very swiftly and to develop this sector, but we should keep an eye, of course, that there is many nexuses, for example, with water, with food, with the environment, and so on. And this has to be looked at in a strategic way, and in a way that we think that it should be sustainable, and it has to profit all the Tunisian people. This is crucial because once we had economic growth, but it didn't profit all the population, and that's why we came to all these troubles which we went through in the last decade. And I think we have a huge opportunity with this green hydrogen issue to become one of the world producer of this commodity.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's amazing. Sirida, emission detection, very interesting topic. You talked actually about, how it could be used, for industrial applications, etc. But what I'm interested to know also about here is actually how to engage community, actually with all this data that you can have, and how actually we can have a better tracking, but informing actually the community and engaging on the environmental impact.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest challenge we are having is that people and goods, they have borders. And it's a huge challenge to move from one country to the other. While the air is moving, and with the climate, sometimes some countries are getting the consequences of what is happening in the other countries. I think that, and it has been said already, I think we need to make sure that all the companies doing emission need to have a minimum of measurements, not to sell our products, but you cannot really improve and control if you don't measure. Mm-hmm. We can improve only what we measure. We cannot, otherwise you have to make a very high guess and then see disasters as a KPI. So the KPI should be defined. I think we need to define kind of threshold, and based on the threshold, get maybe authorities. For example, Department or Ministry of Environment, they have the obligation to position kind of perimeter monitoring around the area where there is huge source of emission, and make sure that the air is not polluted or it's having a certain level. For example, if you go the traffic in certain countries, I know, for example, in Paris, the periphery, if the weather does not allow, people are requested to drive slowly. So we can reduce the emission because of the weather. This is on one side, but we are at the early beginning. I'm afraid that we are really very, very slow, and we need to work more in much more accurate for low density. Because today we talk about particle per million, we have to go for particle per billion and more. We need to interface with air analyzer. Maybe we need to impose in a certain area to have this reading to make sure that the communities are safe, because we don't know in reality what is going on. Sometimes when you are living next to very high traffic, there are a lot of sickness coming for kids and other people. I think we need to measure, we need to monitor and make sure there are some thresholds and at certain level to reduce or stop. I mean, we are not going to die if we use less, I'm saying not less water, or using less energy, sometimes for the air conditioning or for the heating. We are overheating, we are over air conditioning. There are a lot of routes, but the success is a common work, is the fact that we are all looking at the same direction to protect the environment, to protect our community, to protect in reality ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have the possibility to take a question? Yeah? Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about the green hydrogen to Mr. Sorry? Sorry again? Loud, okay. Yeah, I have a question to Mr. Chokri about the green hydrogen. I think I agree. I mean, that in Tunisia, I think we have a huge potential in green hydrogen, both for the local market, but also for export. But before enabling the export, I have a question whether, in particular, the STEG have a plan to inject a small quantity with the natural gas, because there is a difference between starting investing and the proof of concept. So first you have to build the local competencies, you have to try things. So I think the biggest potential user of this trial is the STEG, and injection of a small percentage of hydrogen with natural gas in the mix, and start deploying that. So you will build first the local competencies, the infrastructure, the proof of concept, the legal aspect, and then we can talk about billions of dollars. So first, crawling before running.
Okay, in every change, we have to look for the so-called hanging fruits, low-hanging fruits. And one of the low-hanging fruits for the green hydrogen usage is to improve the energy mix with the STEG. And as I said, STEG gas turbines are hydrogen ready. So we need almost no investment to use hydrogen. And hydrogen is actually already used for cooling the turbines. So there is already a use for hydrogen. Of course, now it is gray hydrogen, but it could, gray or green, it doesn't matter for the turbine if it is, because actually it's not, it has no color and no taste and no, so it is just a specification of the hydrogen, where it is coming, whether renewable energy are used or not, and so on. But in my opinion, we shall not say we should do this before that. I explain myself. So there is an opinion which says we shall not export before covering our own needs. In my opinion, this is nonsense, because to use green hydrogen or hydrogen in general, you have to have an infrastructure. You have to come up with the application, and it requires investment, time, and money. Yeah? And if you have the opportunity to export now and to have revenues for the country, you should do it. We have the potential to do export, to cover our own needs. We have all the potential to do this, and we shall not do the mistake, in my opinion, to say, no, we don't do this before doing that. We shall do what is available, what is in our interest. Yeah? This is my opinion. This is the way I look for the things, because things are evolving very fast. And if we don't position our country, we already lost the position of the first mover. This is already done. We are not first mover anymore. Yeah? But we shall not lose the opportunity. I call it historical opportunity to position ourselves as a major producer of green hydrogen worldwide. This is the way I see this.
Okay, maybe actually we have...
I think it's an excellent question. I just give an analogy. When I introduced solar in Dubai as Secretary General and CEO of Supreme Council of Energy, of course, they said, no, it's too expensive. But as you said, capacity building, learning the PV, solar connected to the network, and so on. So we went on a pilot of 13 megawatt. And on that process, we prepared the foundation, exactly what you said. First of all, learning about, how it works, so capacity building. Then we had to put targets and the legislation. And third, we had to raise the capital for the pilot. But then by demonstrating our capability, then we got, a lot of investments. I mean, Dubai got a lot of investment because they demonstrated that they're going through the steps. So I think you both talking about the same thing, but I think what you're trying to say, we need to have that first step worked out.
Please speak in the mic.
Yeah.
I did not suggest that we have to first cover the local market needs and then the export. No, this is not the point. The point is we have to build the local knowledge, the local value chain and the expertise before pitching for a big capitals. This is the roadmap. And one low-hanging fruit is to inject small quantity of green hydrogen within the fuel, not in the cooling only, but also with a natural gas. It can work. I don't remember the percentage. I think 3 or 4%, 20%. So can you go up to 20%? And this is low-hanging fruit. Now you can do it. And then when you do that, exactly, then you can pitch for billions and export and etc.
Okay. Si Kamel, I think, wants to add something here.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yeah, Kamel Ben Nasser. I think the question is very, very relevant. Thank you for the question. In Tunisia, we do have a big problem today is our renewable projects are not advancing at a speed that is required for the decarbonization. We have had since 2014 big plans in terms of going to renewables. Today, we are not at that level. We have had tenders that have been a big hope, 500-600 megawatts. I think the point that you are asking is perhaps the renewable energy should first go to internal use for electricity generation as a priority, and then we could consider other sources of exports for hydrogen. I think that's the way I read your question.
I think even for the renewable energies, even with this 500 megawatt, we will have peaks with overproduction. So this overproduction can be linked to electrolyzers and then produce green hydrogen. So maybe it's not 100% effective, but I'm not, I think the green hydrogen, we already not a first mover. So I don't agree that we have to wait more. So we have to build the local expertise, the local knowledge, local value chain. And the starting point, in my opinion, this is my own opinion, is to inject a small quantity of hydrogen within the network of STEC. And STEC can play a central role on this. It's a low-hanging fruit.
Much. I just want to give the possibility to someone else to...
Thank you very much. I am Aftab Alam Khan from company Resilient Future International. I would like to congratulate Tunisia for such an inspiring program. I had a meeting few days back with Mohamed, and he told me about the journey of his company, which is also inspirational. I have worked previously with an international organization and tried to develop climate resilient solutions for over 35 countries, mainly connecting poorest people and the communities with national and international possibilities. Right now, my question is on two things. One, For the capacity building and training, it's very important to engage universities because they are producing our future workforce. I would like to understand what is the experience of engaging universities, students, and faculties in Tunisia in this route. And secondly, there is another challenge, which is carbon border adjustment mechanism tax by European Union for developing countries. So my understanding would be how are you planning to respond to that challenge as well? Because I'm working on those two areas and would like to collaborate as well. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much. I don't know. Okay.
For the training, we are working with Abu Dhabi Polytechnic to develop a system for security reason in the gas system, and the progress is visible. Shortly, we will sign the MOU to proceed because there is a patent there by our company, but with the support of Polytechnic. Then cooperation between the industry and the university. This is in UAE, but in Tunisia, we have our office, offshore office, engineering and design. All our engineering and design for the Gulf region is done in Tunisia. We are hiring fresh graduate engineer from university. And the next step, we are training them on our base in Tunisia online. And many of them, they will come here for practical experience. And then they can stay there or they move to other location. This is how we are dealing with the university. But maybe your mind is for other things, but this is what we are doing as a company. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohamed. Unfortunately, we cannot answer the second question because really we are over time. But I think actually during the next panels, we might have an answer to this question. I invite Mounir to come and present the next session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nihal, and thank you very much, dear panelists. We are going to take a short break to transition to panel 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much.